All right, team. This is something we did look out for out there. COLA, 2.8%. There's a strange way they calculate COLA. They really should change this. They do it on the Consumer Price Index for younger people, working people. They should actually do it for elderly people. And it's been shown that it would be a little bit more. 2.8% is definitely not enough, particularly considering the tariffs that are out there, and which are basically a sales tax. So a lot of people are struggling. But okay, team. So this is an opportunity for an indication of people out there that need help that we can go out there and help. Okay, so the COLA is 2.8%. So if someone is receiving about $1,000, they will get an extra $28 in their check starting January. If you're on SSI, Supplemental Security Income, you get it on December 31st. Okay. But the Part B monthly premium is going to be $202.90 for 2026. This year it's $185. That's $17.90 increase. So there's some people, if you or someone you know starts talking about, I'm actually going to make less next year from Social Security, that is an indication that that person's benefit amount, their monthly check, is a lot less than $1,000. So those are the people we need to reach out for, team, and say, okay, because people are kind of shy. They don't want to tell about, how much they're receiving from Social Security, how much they're living on and stuff like that. But if someone says, I'm going to make less next year, that is a red flag that we need to watch out for, because that means, their benefit amount is very, very small. There is one provision. It's called hold harmless for those people. So you can, number one, you can tell, we'll come up with a strategy. And this is also a live Q&A. I got some questions on documentation and whether the annual earnings limit is an individual or a group or a family. So we'll talk about all of those. If you've got any questions, make sure you type them into the live Q&A, and I'll get to as many as I possibly can within the next hour. Okay, so the hold harmless provision. It's taken an effect. It's an automatic provision. It's basically saying, okay, if your COLA increase, let's say you're receiving X amount of money and the COLA increase is 2.8%, and therefore next year your benefit amount is going to go up by $10. Well, guess what? If you have Part B, your Part B is going to go up by $17.90. So you just lost $7.90. So what happens is this hold harmless provision, this is 100% automatic. So tell those people, okay, at least you're not going to make less, because there's hold harmless provision, and it basically discounts your Part B by whatever the difference is. So if there's $7.90 that you're going to be losing, your Part B will be discounted by $7.90. So you won't technically lose for 2026, but you're not going to get compensated for the cost of living adjustment that's supposed to compensate for inflation. Okay, so that's definitely one thing. But we also have to remember that if someone is receiving Part B, then they also probably have either a Medicare supplement plan. And those people that have Medicare supplement plans, those are monthly premiums that they're paying, and they're also having a Part D plan. So most people get a Medicare Advantage plan. Over 50% of people get a Medicare Advantage plan, quite often because they don't know there's an alternative, or their Medicare insurance people, didn't tell them about that, or they just can't afford it. So Medicare supplement, for those people out there having a hard time, continuing to pay for their Medicare supplement, then sometimes they move over to a Medicare Advantage plan. But those with Medicare Advantage plans, there's also going to be increase in prices for next year as well. So those people that don't get a whole bunch for COLA might also have to pay more for, to see their doctors or specialists, or get a, MRI or whatever the case may be. So we have to watch out for those particular situation amongst your community, your friends, family, neighbors, and all the rest of it. And another thing that we can help them with, our regular viewers know, but so for those new people that have just joined our team, we are the best community online in America. We help people throughout the country navigate the bureaucracy and make sure they get everything they need and eligible for. So if you have someone complaining about getting less next year, again, that means their benefit amount is very, very small. there's another program out there that will help them pay for their Part B premium. It's called the Medicare Savings Program. And what they do is they apply through their Medicaid through their particular state, whatever their particular state calls Medicaid. They call it different, Medi-Cal and Denali Care and Access in Arizona, and different names, but it's all Medicaid. It's all federal Medicaid. So if someone is low income, low resources, they apply for Medicaid and they're approved at the higher levels of Medicaid. There's different levels of Medicaid. There's the highest level is QMB plus, Slim B, QI, and different categories. So if they're approved for Medicaid, the higher levels, they're eligible for that Medicare savings program. And then the state will pay for their Part B premium, will pay for that $202.90. So let's reach out to those people that are having a hard time, and someone that complains about, I'm going to be making less. That's a red flag. Immediately say, okay, number one, here's this. Hold Harmless. Hopefully that'll help you a few bucks. Have you applied for Medicaid? Right? There's also extra help with your prescription drugs. You file for that through the Social Security Administration. Super, super easy application. When I worked at Social Security, I've done hundreds of thousands. It's like one of the easiest applications at Social Security. So you apply for the extra help with prescription drugs, and it helps you with prescription drugs. Pretty easy application, low income, low resources. There's also, this is actually going to be automatic next year. So if you have a Part D plan, prescription drug plan, or Medicare Advantage, which Part D is within Medicare Advantage, there is, the limit for 2026 is $2,100 out of pocket to pay for prescriptions. If your prescription is so expensive that the first month you have to pay the $2,100, there's a new policy it's the same policy I had last year, but this year it's automatic. For 2026, it's automatic. It's called smoothing. And it says, okay, your prescriptions are so much, you reach the cap the first month in January, so give us $2,100. They're not going to do that. This year, they're going to automatically smooth it. It's basically going to say you owe us $2,100 for your prescriptions. Everything after that's covered. But for the $2,100, we'll set up a payment plan. So for 12 months, you pay a little bit every month. So hopefully that'll help a lot of people. So if people out there are stressing because, oh my gosh, I'm going to have this bill January for $1,000 or $2,000, tell them about the smoothing. You had to request it last year, but this year it's automatic. So that's going to be a big help. And one of the most important things, obviously, is to make sure those around you, your loved ones, your family, friends, are getting all of the benefits they're eligible for. So many people, they think Social Security is just retirement and Social Security cards, but they don't understand disabled widows benefits, SSI, SSDI, independently entitled divorced spouse benefits, disabled widows benefits. And that's why I do a live Q&A every single day. And so we'll get into that a little bit. And then I did a video yesterday. One final thought before we get into live Q&A. I did a video yesterday about all the fake AI stuff out there. So I'm going to tell people again, there's a lot of fake AI stuff out there talking about there's a January 1st deadline that you have to do this, that, the other. It's all BS. Watch my video yesterday. I talk about that. It's that fake AI stuff is going to increase even more. And because of the way these algorithms work, the way these social media systems work, it's based on fear and anger. It's rage baiting. So the more fear and stuff, the more people see it. We're slaves to these crazy computer robot algorithms. So it's unfortunate, but sometimes you have to fight fire with fire. So that's kind of what my video did yesterday. And someone just put in the live Q&A that they already saw a video. I knew this was going to happen. Somebody already saw a video in some social media somewhere of someone making a video guessing what the COLA will be for 2027. I knew that was going to happen. I knew pretty much a few days after the 2026 COLA was announced, people are going to start talking about the 2027 COLA because they get clicks. So And so those are the clickbaity ones out there. They're going to talk about 2027 COLA and what's it going to be, and nobody knows until the first week of October. So pretty much ignore those, you know. And then the tariffs, the tariff rebates, those are going to be daily video. Today's, update on the tariff rebate is nothing. And tomorrow's will be nothing. And the day after will be nothing. So those are going to go on and on and on and on and on and on and on. And it's unfortunate. And makes it more unfortunate is people are going to call Social Security, jam up the lines, asking about where's my rebate, where's my rebates, and it just ruins it for everybody else. So as I say, until I'm red, blue in the face, social media people stop it out there, but they won't stop it. So, all right, one question I've had before we started, someone says, does the Social Security any earnings limit apply to household or per individual? I'm claiming, and my wife will claim spousal benefits. She is self-employed, but we filed taxes jointly. The earnings limit is based on your individual earnings. So this year for 2025, it's 23,400. Anything over that, the Social Security holds back $1 for every $2 you go over. For 2026, it's $24,480, and it's only on your earnings or net income from business. So if you take out money from a 401k or whatever, that's not going to, if you win $1 billion at a lottery or get a, inheritance, that doesn't count against the earnings limit. So, and there's an exception. That's one of the problems with Social Security. 20,000 pages of policy. There's an exception to the exception to the exception. If you are a professional gambler, I don't know how you can be a professional lottery player, but if you're a professional poker player and you win a bunch of money, then you're a professional poker player, and therefore that's your job. So net income for business. But anyway, but if you just go by the slot machine and win a bunch of money, then that's not considered work. So. What type of proof will I need to provide to Social Security related to divorce? I don't know what a decree is. All I have is a lengthy agreement, which will be impossible to upload. That's probably it. But Social Security needs the original one, whichever one the courthouse, wherever you got divorced from, that says this is your final divorce, and it usually has like a raised seal or a colored stamp or something like that. Then that's what you provide to Social Security. And you cannot make a copy or anything like that, or a notarized. Social Security has to see the original. They see the original, they check and make a copy of it. They have to make the copy of it. And then once they make a copy of it, then they'll give the original back to you. Okay. Let's see. Titus, Dr. Ed and his team are the only reliable source of Social Security questions. Spread the word and share the website, YouTube. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, so much misinformation out there. People talking about Social Security that never worked there. And so, yeah, it's unfortunate. So let's see what other kind of questions we got. I've also got some video questions. Let's jump into a video question a little bit earlier today and see what we got. Little stall there.
Hello, Dr. Ed, and thank you for all of your help. I plan on drawing my Social Security at the age of 62. In reviewing my earnings record, as you always recommend people do, I noticed that my earnings tax for Social Security show a 0 for 2006, 2007, 2011, 12, and 13. And I'm trying to figure out if that is why my Social Security payment at 62 is so low, and also how I can figure out where to go to find out what happened and why they did not tax my earnings for those years.
Okay. Based on the fact that I've done this a few million times, the years, so this is great. This is very, very important to check your earnings record, because that's how they determine how much you're going to make from Social Security for the rest of your life, for retirement benefits, for disability benefits, for survivor benefits, spouse benefits. It's based on how much you actually paid into Social Security. So number one, perfect for checking. Usually, if you've got a gap, that, you check your earnings record and it shows 0 for 1 year or 2 years, that's usually because it's a typo mistake. Your employer put the wrong social down, transposed the numbers or whatever. But you've got 1 or 2 years, and then everything is good in another couple of years. I'm thinking you might be self-employed, and you just didn't have any net income from business. You took a bunch of expenses, or you reinvested, or whatever the case may be. And so if you don't have any net profit, net income from business, then, even if you made a whole bunch of money and you expensed a whole bunch, then yeah, you didn't pay into it. I'm thinking, based on, doing this a few million times. But if that's not the case, if it's actually wages from work, you work someplace, then those are probably in what's called a suspense file. And there's hundreds of billions of dollars in the suspense file. It's basically people that pay into Social Security, but Social Security, it doesn't match. Like your employee or your tax accountant or something mistyped your Social Security number, and those earnings are out in this suspense file. This is where undocumented immigrants that work under a IRS temporary number, and the IRS takes the money, or they work under a fake Social Security number. Social Security takes the money and they put it in the suspense file, and the suspense file, and those people never get it back because they're undocumented. So there's hundreds of billions of there. But your earnings are probably in that suspense file, and that's super easy to fix. So you just call Social Security and say, hey, usually you do this when you file for benefits, because when you file for benefits, then Social Security employees are supposed to ask you. Now it's all online, so that a lot of people miss it. But Social Security employees say, okay, I'm looking at your earnings record and I see there's gaps here for this year, this year. What's did you work? Did you, take a vacation or travel? Oh no, I worked. I definitely paid and stuff like that. So they say, okay, where did you work? And then you say, okay, I worked in the same place, this year. And so they look at the file, the DQI it's called, and they see the EIN, the employer identification number. And they say, okay, this is the employer you worked for those years. And then they look at that employer, all of the records that are in the suspense file for that particular employer. And they say, oh, ABC Wholesale Company. Here's that company for 1992, whatever it is. Oh, here is $50,000, and it's got your name on it, but somebody typed the Social Security number wrong. So let's go ahead and grab those earnings, put it in your record, and re-update your record. So that's super, super, super easy to fix. So Social Security employees, they know how to do that. If you don't know how to do it, call me and I'll tell you how to walk through a Medicaid and do a 2.8 and stuff like that. But anyway, they know how to do it. Super, super easy. That's probably the case. So it's either in suspense file, or you're self-employed and you never paid into taxes because you didn't have any profit. So it could be either one of the others. And to tell you how important this is a gentleman that myself and one of our experts have been helping over the last few months. And this young man got quite a bit of an increase because he checked his earnings record and he got it fixed. And he left a nice donation for myself and that helped him out. So we really do appreciate it. But this is an example of how important your earnings record is.
Hello, Dr. Ed. My name is Willie Kevin Schmaler. We spoke about a year and a half ago on the phone, and I also sent in one video about 8 weeks ago. I'm so grateful that you're helping me and getting in contact with May Jackson. She helped me a lot in the past 3-4 months to solve my problems with my missing earning records. However, my earning records has been repaired, and my Social Security disability pension raised from $686 to $1,409 for 26.
All right, and then he talks about he left a donation for Maya and myself, so we appreciate it. So we'll put that to the website and everything, and so you got awesome. But look at that, he checked his earnings record, found out it was incorrect, went through the whole process. I talked to him a while ago, Mai Jackson, who is one of, for those people that want personal help, we've got some retired Social Security employees that help out. You can go onto our website, mygovexpert.com, click on Talk to Social Security former insider, or you can go onto our other website. It's our discussion website, which is 24help.org. And then talk to experts takes you to the same place there, and you just figure out. This is the only thing we do charge for. Everything else we have on our websites and everything. These live Q&As are free, yeah, these are one-on-one appointments. So if you need any help, reach out to them, and they can help you file for retirement benefits. Ask, make sure you're getting the benefits you're entitled to, you're eligible for, what you paid into it. Help you file for disability and all the rest of it. So. Let's see. So what is the point of giving a credit to seniors and don't receive nothing? Okay, I'm not sure what that's referencing to. Between my part N and D, which will be a whopper, $337.90, I'm going to have to live frugally or shack up with someone to share accommodations. Yeah, a lot of people, they get, when they get original Medicare Part A and Part B, which is great, but there's a lot of gaps there. The big one is that 20% gap in Part B. So if you have a $100,000 Band-Aid, you got to pay $20,000, 20%. So people either get a Medicare Advantage plan or a Medicare Supplement plan. I always recommend at least checking out a Medicare Supplement first, thinking about that first, because you don't have those prior authorizations. You don't have to, have some, bean counter at some health insurance company, second guess your doctor. You're not limited to where you can go. Any place that takes Medicare, they take your plan. So random life things, try to keep it as long as possible. But if one day you're just not able to, budget that on a monthly basis, then what a lot of people do is they then switch to a Medicare Advantage plan. But understand that then you will have the prior authorizations and limited networks and all the rest of it. A lot of people are happy with their Medicare Advantage plan, so it really depends on your particular situation. But if you chose Part N because you didn't want to deal with that, then yeah, so try to keep it as long as you can. But if not, then yeah, one day, unfortunately. Again, thank you much. Chapter was great. All right, Diane, appreciate it. Yeah, so if you need any help with all of that, they support this channel. They support all these free websites that we have here, and so we appreciate that. Mine ID already, little Social Security. I get very little. 466 isn't nothing. Okay, good. Thank you, Linda, for this one. So you get 466. This is another thing out there. So if, should have mentioned this in the first part. SSI. SSI is not Social Security income. People think it means Social Security income. It's not. SSI is a needs-based, welfare-based program that the Social Security administers, okay? And it's for people with low income and low resources. So that same situation, thank you for Linda for reminding me of this. Same situation. If you got people out there struggling, Medicaid, extra help with prescription drugs, but SSI, Supplemental Security Income, they apply through through the Social Security Administration. And for 2026, the most you can receive on SSI is $994. Some states do have a supplement that if you're on SSI, some states give you a little bit extra, but that's a state thing. I think California gives you a couple of hundred or so. So anybody on SSI out there, does your particular state, please type it in the live Q&A or the comments. If you're on SSI, does your state give you a state supplement? I know California does a couple of $100 or so. So let us know in your particular state whether you get a state supplement for those people on SSI. So if you have someone that's like receiving retirement benefits or disability benefits, and that benefit amount is under $994, please tell them to reach out to Social Security and apply for SSI. But it is a needs-based program. So they have to have limited income. So again, if all they have is Social Security under $994, then that's one hurdle they've jumped over. But they also have to have limited resources. For Social Security, for SSI, the resources is $2,000 for an individual, $3,000 for a family. But there's exempt. They don't count your first car. They don't count your house. Those are exempt. So tell those people to reach out to Social Security and apply for SSI. You can get it based on being disabled, or SSI aged is for those people that are 65 years and older, can get SSI just being on based, you're aged, not necessarily disability. So let's see here. Peter, what's up, Peter? I'm unable to participate in a high deductible health plan with an HSA because I'm already enrolled in premium-free Part A, which cannot be canceled unless I withdraw from Social Security. They changed that. There's a lot of going back and forth according to the one big beautiful bill. They looks like they may have changed that, but I would reach out to a chapter, whoever, your HR, and find out about that. I've seen going back and forth of whether it's going to be implemented, when it's going to start, and all that. I would definitely check that particular situation. Because yeah, the HSA normally up until possibly this year, if you are paying into an HSA, you're getting, because it's an IRS issue. It's not a Social Security issue. Social Security sign you up for Part A, no problem. But then will you be jammed up by the IRS? Because the IRS, up until now, possibly, they said, okay, hey, we were giving you a tax break because you were putting money into an HSA. And when you do that, you can't sign up for Part A. So they say, okay, we want that tax break that we gave you back. So send us back that, $37.46, whatever, tax break, because yeah. But supposedly that's changing. But I never work for the IRS, and so I avoid IRS type stuff like that. So I would reach out to a chapter or reach out to your HR and find out if you can kind of have your cake and eat it too. Contribute to the HSA and get Part A. So thank you for helping me out with your information. You're welcome. Today we went to the Social Security office to opt out of Part B for my husband since he's covered under my insurance while I'm still working. Thanks. All right. Yeah, a lot of people are paying into Part B when they don't need to. So I think Christy joined us previously, found out that if you have health insurance from current work, the employer has 20 or more employees, and current work is your current work or your current spouse's current work. If you have health insurance from then you do not have to sign up for Part B. You keep Part A because that's zero premium, but you don't have to sign up for Part B or Part D or a Medicare supplement plan or any of that stuff. You are good. So Christy, what you will have to do is next year, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, when you start receiving health insurance from work, is you just need a couple of forms, and I'll just kind of give you a heads up. Enrollment period, you're looking at the special enrollment period. So once you lose your health insurance because you lost your job, you technically have 8 months. So you lose your health insurance, you have 8 months to sign up for Part B, and you won't have to pay any penalties. But I never recommend anybody wait 8 months because that's when you'll get sick or fall or someone, run into you or whatever. So about a couple of months before you lose your health insurance, then you'll need the CMS 40. That's the application to sign up for Part B. And then you also need, the most important thing is the CMS L564. And that's the one you take to your employer that shows, they fill it out and they say, yeah, this person has had health insurance from current work, spouse's current work, since they turned 65. So don't penalize them. So easy. So, but you don't have to worry about that. Just worry about that later. Just go on. I received SSDI and SSI. See, people can receive both. Will be 67 summer of 2027. I'm dual eligible. Can I earn $1140 a month and not trigger? By the way, tick and keep both of my benefits, but max SSDI and SSI. Okay, we got a lot going on here. All right. So you are receiving SSDI and SSI. So you can receive both. Beloved Butterfly can prove that. So basically what the situation is he or she, let's say she, is receiving on SSDI disability benefits $500 and no other income or resources. All you're receiving is from Social Security disability benefits, $500. So she applied for SSI as well. And so she's probably receiving $500 from SSDI and another $467 from SSI for a total of $967 this year. Next year it'll be $994. But in terms of earning, once you hit your full retirement age, your disability benefits turn into regular retirement benefits. Your SSDI turns into regular retirement benefits, but SSI is still SSI. You are no longer on SSI because you are disabled. You are technically on SSI because you're aged, 65 and older, but you're still on SSI. So if you make $11.40 a month, you won't trigger anything on SSDI because you won't be on SSDI. You'll be on retirement, and you can make $1 billion a month and it doesn't matter. But that $11.40 will affect your SSI. So pretty much a 1-for-1. You'll lose your SSI, however much you're getting from SSI. But if you're only getting, $100 from SSI, then more power to you. You'll lose that $100, but you're gaining 1,040. So there's that. Let's see here. Please, someone tell me that adorable housing acronym that isn't Section 8. I'm asking for a friend. That isn't Section 8. HUD? Actually, on the 18th or 19th, on the 18th or 19th, those 2 days, we're going to have a veteran, the guy expert in veterans type of benefits. And on the other day, I forget which one, which is which. On December 18th, 19th, we're going to have another person that's expert on affordable housing. So talking about Section 8, talking about all the cuts to HUD, the housing, urban development and everything. Yeah, so join us on that. So if you have anybody, the one big beautiful bill has changed a lot of stuff. It cut HUD's budget by 43%. It's going to restrict people to 2 years in HUD housing, Section 8 housing. There's going to be a bunch of changes. Carrie, whatever works. Utilities are high around these parts. Add auto insurance is all. Remember our other website. So let's get into information about utilities. On mygovexpert.com, we've got living on Social Security alone. And it talks about all of the different programs for those people out there that are struggling month to month. Get SSI, I already talked about, food stamps. This is being cut. The Medicare savings program, unfortunately, a lot of people are going to lose that. Not because they're necessarily cutting, but because they're cutting assistance. So people are going to get cut off that shouldn't be cut off. But the low-income home energy assistance program, maybe that's what you're talking about. And so there's the information on that. And then we also have on our other website, which is our group discussion website. So for those people that need help with housing and utilities, this is the discussion group for you, housing discussion group, utilities, and join the discussion and help other people out there that are struggling and see if you can get help for yourself as well. So. Let's see. A. Harris, I filed for SSDI in October 23, denied June 24th, appealed immediately. Good, perfect, always appeal. Gone to every appointment they have asked. 26 months into this, and my account was just flagged for federal quality review. Good or bad? It's neither good or bad. A decision has been made. And the DDS, the Disability Determination Service, well, if you're in your are you in your ALJ, the Administrative Law Judge phase? But anyway, an entity, either DDS or the Administrative Law Judge, has made a decision, and then they were forwarding that to your local district Social Security office. And in between, quality review grabs them at random, theoretically at random, and just checks. So making sure if you're denied, they make sure everything was proper and everybody evaluated everything correctly. If your application was approved, same exact thing. They double check everything. But given my experience, I would stay on top of this, because what happens is when quality review, from my personal experience, when I've had cases sent up and then I heard the decision is made, but where's the case? It gets stuck. It gets misrouted. The quality review people say, oh, you forgot to dot this I and cross this T, and they send it back. and for someone to dot the I and cross the T. And then once that happens, then they're supposed to send it back to quality review to confirm that was actually done. And then they send it to go get your money if it was an approval. Somewhere along the way, they forget to send it back or do this, and it gets, yeah. So, yeah, just keep an eye on it. If it was the DDS, Disability Determination Service, I'm sure, hopefully, if anybody out there has a case pending, a Social Security disability case pending, call the DDS. It's a state agency. Those are the ones that actually make the medical decision, and call the person, find the person that is in charge of that particular case and just say, hey, I just want to, are you in charge of my case? Hey, how you doing? My address is up to date. I'm going to the doctor next week. How can I get you those medical records and stuff like that? Just keep an eye on it. So I would keep an eye on it so it doesn't get lost. That's just from, yeah, doing this a bunch of times. Eric Mays. Hey, what's up, Eric? I am low-income SSDI and get my D through WellCare for the last 3 years. They've been really good to me and works really well for prescriptions for those really low incomes who need, yeah. But these companies, doesn't matter who it is. So that particular company might be good in your neck of the woods, but someone with different medications next door or someone in another part of the country, all those plans are different based on the particular area. So it might be great for you in your particular area and your particular prescriptions, then more power to you. And those companies are always looking to make more money. So if they can make more money for 2020, you might be super happy now, but in 2026, what happened to my plan? Well, it changed. Medicare Part D plans, Medicare Advantage plans, they can change a lot starting January 1st at midnight. 1 second after midnight, your new plan starts. And a lot of people are surprised. What happened to my plan I've had for years? Well, they change every year. All these fake ads scare me. If I don't know from the station, I would believe it. Yeah, unfortunately, that's why I did that video yesterday. And I apologize for the clickbaity, fear, rage nature of the title and the thumbnail, but you have to play the game so more people can see it. And then within the first minute or so, I told people, yeah, all that garbage about your benefits are going to stop January, your benefits are going to stop January 1st. It's all AI garbage. So, yeah, please get the information out there. I wonder if anyone told Moses Mike Johnson that the ACA tax credits have been extended. Just got my January 2026 premium bill today. It's about the same as 2025. I won't have to cancel. Yeah, they haven't been extended, but they're working on that supposedly. I don't know if they're going to happen. I'm going to do a video on, as so many people they say, well, the Affordable Care Act isn't affordable. Well, there's some reasons why. Yeah, and so they're pretty obvious. I'm working on that video, and just kind of a heads up. I wonder why the car on the left is so much cheaper than the car on the right. So the health insurance before the Affordable Care Act was the car on the left, and health insurance after, of course, if you buy a beat up car, it's going to be cheaper. So before the Affordable Care Act, health insurance companies could sell, really inexpensive plan because they kicked off the people that were really sick, and they just got a bunch of healthy people. And of course it's going to be cheaper. And they put caps and all that kind of stuff. And then the Affordable Care Act said, no, you can't do that. You have to, these plans actually have to be good. You can't kick off people when they, reach, $500,000. You can't kick off people when they get sick. So yes, and it is going to be more expensive. So, yeah. But I'll go into more details why. And then you get rid of the, essentially the mandates. So, on the COLA, we come out ahead of the game, but then we get hit by our supplemental insurance for increase of $250 a month. Just can't win. Yeah. And what's worse about the Medicare supplement plans? Again, I love the Medicare supplement plans. If we ever went to Medicare for all, then I think Medicare for all should look like people that have a Medicare supplement plan G, everybody should have that, but obviously not have to pay, extra $200, $300, $400 a month. We'll have to do it through taxes and stuff. But anyway, the Medicare supplement plans, they don't really come out with, a lot of those companies don't come out with their new prices until after, the annual enrollment period, where you can switch to a Medicare Advantage plan in, October, November, December. They come out with their new prices in February, March, or April and stuff like that, when it's kind of too late. I wish they would all do it at the same time, so that way people, it's like, okay, so they can plan for 2026. If they told you in October how much your Medicare supplement plan would be for 2026, then people could say, well, yeah, I've tried to keep it as long as possible, but I just can't keep it anymore. So it's time for me to, go out with. So, let's see here. Please advise me. I'm planning to retire at 66 next year of March. Should I apply after my birthday or on March, or can I apply before my birthday when I turn 66? It doesn't really matter in that case, the day. Whenever you want to start your benefits, that's when you call Social Security or file online. 3 months before, if you're going to schedule an appointment, call 3 months before and say, hey, so if you want to start let's say you want to start your benefits in March. So January, or actually, you probably call them now and schedule an appointment, and you probably won't get an appointment until February, March anyway. And then you just start your benefits in March. But if maybe you want to start your benefits in January, so maybe check that out. So if you call now, if you call in December or January, and let's say they don't have an appointment until March, and then in March you go there, doesn't matter what day it is, you go there and said, okay, yeah, I want to go ahead and start my benefits this month. And by the way, what if I had started back in January? How much, your benefits are reduced. Every single month you take your benefits early, they're reduced a little bit. But you also get those checks. So you might get a check for January and February ahead of the game. And you say, okay, well, what if I had started my benefits in January? How much would I get? And how much of that would reduce my benefits? And you'll say, oh, I should have started my benefits in January. Guess what? Because you called in December or January, you can do that. You can say, hey, I called you all back in January, so go ahead and start my benefits in January. So you can play around with that a little bit. But if you want to start it in March, then start it in March. So back in the 80s, a Mexican came to the U.S. and used my Social Security number for 10 years. Can I get Social Security benefits for those 10 years? No, you cannot. Yeah, no. Well, you can. You might have. So this is another reason I tell people to check their Social Security records. So someone at random maybe grabbed your Social Security number or got it at the swap meet or whatever the case may be, and went to work for some place, and the employer was supposed to check it through a Social Security system called E-Verify, and they probably knew it was a fake Social Security number and stuff, but they didn't care. They wanted a low-wage worker, so the employer should be responsible too. But yeah, that's not how we do it in this country. So this person worked for 10 years under your Social Security number, and here's what happens. People said, that's great. That increases your benefit amount, because it depends on how much that person makes and how much you make. So Social Security looks at your high 35 years of earnings. And for 10 years, you had a whole bunch more earnings based on that person. So some people, what they do is, I'm not going to say anything. I'm just shut up. Because of that 10 years of work, it increased my benefit by $100 a month. And some people don't say anything, and they take that extra $100 for a few years. But then eventually that person gets caught. And then they find that Social Security number, and they go in there and they pull those 10 years of earnings out of your record, because those aren't your earnings. And they say, hey, we paid you $100 too much every month for the past 10 years. So you owe us all that money. So pay us. You shouldn't have got that earnings. So that's another reason why it's important to check your earnings record. Yeah, definitely check your earnings record. I talked to someone today at Social Security. They said I could not draw wife Social Security. So in order to collect, so we're talking about a current wife, let's say. So there's some reasons, eligibility requirements for collecting spouse benefits. Number one, current spouse, but you have to be collecting benefits. So let's say you're collecting benefits. Your wife has to start collecting benefits. Your benefit amount, your full benefit amount, has to be less than half of her full benefit amount. And then you collect the difference. So one of those things you didn't fulfill. Let's say it's because your benefit amount, your full benefit amount is not, your full benefit amount means the amount you would have received if you waited till your full retirement age. They compare that with how much your wife would have received at full retirement age to determine, if it's less than half. So it sounds like that didn't happen, but here's what people mess up. And here's a lot of people out there are not getting the benefits they're eligible for and need. So another one, our team goes out there every single day and scans the country, scans their community and see if this is appropriate. They say, hey, Douglas, 10 years ago, you or anybody 10 years ago, you checked to see if you were eligible on a spouse's benefit and you were told no. Okay, that was a correct decision 10 years ago, but now 10 years later, the answer might be yes. Why? Well, maybe your wife continued working and paying more into Social Security and her benefit went up, and it went up over your full benefit, half of your full benefit, and now you're eligible. Or worst situation is if that person passes away, it's no longer up to 50%, it's up to 100%. So there's so many people out there that were told, yeah, I went into Social Security a few years ago and I was told I wasn't eligible for benefits. And it's not because they didn't, meet the marriage requirements and all that. It's just because at that time, the way they calculated the benefits, there was no extra money there. But now everything has changed. And those people are still walking around. I bet you know someone out there, someone that knows someone out there that is walking around that has an extra $500, $1,000, $2,000 eligible. We found somebody a couple of 3 weeks ago that got an extra $2,000 because one of y'all shared this video with them or clicked like or subscribe and it went to that person. So do you help to get Medicaid? There's different levels. We will probably be in a higher bracket. I'm not sure. We don't have a prescription plan or secondary insurance at all, and it's difficult. I don't help, but we give you information on it. And then we've got that community 24help.org. And this is what's going to be the reason I did the 24help.org website, the discussion group, is because in particular Medicaid, the one big beautiful bill is cutting about $1 trillion out of Medicaid. And people say, oh, that's okay. It's just fraud, waste, and abuse. No, that doesn't account for $1 trillion. Oh, it's just people, 26-year-old, lazy kids that are playing video games in their parents' basement. No, that doesn't account for $1 trillion. A lot of people are going to be downgraded. A lot of states are going to lose hundreds of billions of dollars. So what they're going to be doing is, as we used to say in the Marine Corps, accidentally on purpose, kicking people off of Medicaid they're actually eligible, or reducing benefits, cutting doctors and prescriptions and dental and all this transportation and all this stuff. And each state is going to be different. Each state is different when it comes to applying for Medicaid. And there are different levels. And that's another thing is you might have the higher level of Medicaid and you might not get kicked off, but they might downgrade your level from QMB to Slim B or from Slim B to regular Medicaid. And then if you lose that, then you also lose your Medicare Advantage dual eligible plan. And those are the ones that, depend on your area, could have that over-the-counter drug card, the $100, $200 a month, food card, drug card, that helps so many people out there. So not only do the people have to start paying more for their health care, they lose that $100 to $200. Yeah. So If you, and you can, a lot of people make this mistake. You can have Medicaid and Medicare. So if you're eligible for Medicare, you know, pay the $185 or $202.90 starting 2026. But reach out to Medicaid and say, hey, am I in the higher levels of Medicaid? Am I in one of those levels where y'all will pay for my Part B premium? Because, you know, I can't afford $200. So Powerball worth $1 billion tonight. All right. So we're going to share it there, right? Pink Owl, we're going to share it with the community. You're too awesome. I know we know you're going to win it. Okay. I think it's a follow. Is it difficult for my husband and I pay almost $404 while $10 off of $3 really too. I know they might as well make it $203. Yeah. I'm not sure why they did 90 cents. Yeah. It's crazy. We both pay that's $406 and I don't have secondary. Yeah. If you're paying that much, if you're on Medicare and you're paying that much, that means it could be two things. You could be paying for IRMA. The Part B premium is more because you had higher earnings. You're your spouse 2 years ago, IRMA, income related monthly adjustment amount, or you have a Medicare supplement plan. So, yeah, you know, you chose it for a reason. If you got a Medicare supplement plan, try to stay it on as long as possible. But if you can't, if it's not in your budget, it's not in your budget. So I would definitely reach out to Chapter and see what kind of alternatives you have there. And at least you can check it out. So it might be too late to switch out of Medicare, out of a Medicare Advantage, or to switch from a Medicare supplement to a Medicare Advantage plan. Generally, you have to do that by December 7th, the annual enrollment period. But there are exceptions to exceptions. So, Marcia, my Social Security check is less because Part D went from 45 to 95. Yes. I am on a Nevada waiver, so Part B is paid by them. They have not paid on my 51,000 earnings reported, 925 for error in earnings. Okay. Yeah, for your, okay, let's go one at a time. So the Part D, so you're in the state of Nevada and the state is paying for your Part B. They also pay for your, okay, so you just have Part D. So you just have, you didn't get a Medicare Advantage dual eligible plan or anything like that. You just got a standalone Part D. I would definitely check that out. See if a Medicare Advantage plan, a dual eligible, might be a better option. There's another opportunity to change called the open enrollment period, January, February, March. So I'd reach out to Chapter there and see what's going on there. But the state also should pay, if you're on Medicaid, they pay for a certain percentage of your Part D as well. They'll pay for your Part B premium and a certain percentage of your Part D. And then they have not paid on my 51,000 earnings reported on September 19th, 2025. Yeah, if you made that 51,000 this year earnings in 2025, then yeah, I don't think they're going to be paying for your Part B because you won't be eligible for Medicaid with that type of earnings. And in terms of your Social Security check increasing because you made $51,000 this year, it doesn't happen until the year closes out. So once 2025 closes out, then your employer or the IRS notifies Social Security, and then they redo your benefit amount based on if that is one of the high 35 years of earnings. So. All right, let's see. Are Social Security taxes taken out when you get unemployment compensation? Social Security tax, no. FICA taxes, no. It's not considered, income, work, or net income from business or anything. So unemployment is actually part of the original Social Security Act in 1935. So you've got Title II, which I was a Title II claims specialist before I became a manager. Title II of the Social Security Act, old age, retirement, survivor benefits. And then you got Title 16, which is SSI. And I think what unemployment was like, Title 1 or 2 or something. So, yeah. All right, I think we have another video
Dr.
question.
Ed Weir, hello. My name is Kathy. I am a spouse of a service-connected veteran who passed away in 2022, and I currently receive VA, DIC, and Social Security survivor benefits already. Those are my two sources of income. I'm not currently working. I turned 65 in about a year and a half in 2027. So I have a little while to go, but my question is basically, I was told by Champ VA, in order to keep my Champ VA medical benefits, that I would have to have Medicare Part A and B when I turn 65. And I know that with my limited income, I have to be careful with what I spend. So my question is should I apply for the Medicare way before I turn 65, maybe January 1st of the year that I'm about to turn 65, or should I apply sooner? Also, how does Medicaid fit into that? Can I have Medicaid also, or would I have to just stick with the Medicare and Champ VA?
Okay, so a lot of questions there. Yeah, when you apply, not super relevant, whether it's, a few months before, you're eligible for Medicare at 65. So whether you apply that month or a month, 2 months, 3 months ahead, I would probably recommend 3 months ahead, because you want to save every, penny you can. And Champ VA does require you to sign up for Medicare. It's one of those bureaucratic things where it all comes out of tax money and FICA taxes and stuff like that, but it's the Department of Defense moving costs over to Medicare. So yeah, it's still the government paying for whatever. But anyway, that's how they play the game. So yeah, so you don't get jammed up with Champ VA, then make sure your Medicare starts the month you turn 65. So a month, that month, the month before, whatever. But now, considering offices are having a tough time keeping up, I would start the process as soon as possible. And you can start that, 3 months before. If you're already receiving a Social Security check, you don't have to worry about anything. It's automatic. If you're already receiving Social Security, which sounds like you are, then it's automatic. So you don't have to worry about anything. About 100 days before you turn 65, Medicare will automatically sign you up. Okay. And you have an option of refusing Part B, but Champ VA says don't. So you just do it. Just keep it. In terms of Medicaid, it doesn't sound like you're going to be eligible for Medicaid because you're receiving Social Security and VA benefits. And it depends. Well, it depends on how much those are. So if it's under 1,000, 1,500 or so, depending on what state you're in, then you might be eligible. Medicaid is a welfare-based, needs-based program, low income, low resources. But it doesn't sound like you would be eligible based on those other income streams. So,
I am a U.S. citizen living in Canada.
I saw this and I'm like, man, that's definitely not Canada there. And he is wearing no shirt, and it is December, and you've got palm trees in the back, and I'm like, wow, what part of Canada is this?
I'm down here in Mexico for the winter.
Okay,
and
there we go.
I collect Social Security for the past 4 years. I cannot get into my account using myssa.gov, using my old password and my account number, my email account. Is there any way I could get into that from Mexico?
Okay, yeah, I always say it's a nightmare sometimes to get into the My Social Security account and do stuff, but it's worth it to get in there. If nothing else, it prevents other people from going in there, makes it harder for them to go in there and set up an account because you've already set one up. But the reason it's difficult is to protect you. So unfortunately, you have to jump through sometimes the hoops. And also, because a lot of those sources of scammers trying to get into people's My Social Security account is from overseas, the Social Security computer system really flags if you're trying to access the Social Security system from overseas. It's even more difficult. So that's just the nature of it. You just have to keep battling on, and try your best and call the maybe call the 800 number, Social Security 800 number, and see if they can reset you or whatever. So, Billy, what's up, Billy? I have been retired for 5 years now from the DOD. SSA isn't get my pension tax paid in for that time. What should I do? Retired SSA isn't get my pension tax paid. Pension tax. Yeah, I'm not sure what you mean by pension tax there. If you're receiving the only thing I can think of as tax and Social Security is if you're receiving Social Security benefits. The president keeps saying that Social Security taxes, he got rid of taxes on Social Security. That is not correct. The big beautiful bill, it just gives a deduction. That's the IRS, but your Social Security checks are still could be taxed. Nothing has changed there. About 40-50%, even before the one big beautiful bill, didn't pay taxes on Social Security. But if you have to pay taxes on your Social Security benefits, what you can do is set up a W-4V, voluntary withholding, and set up 5, 7, 10, 15, 22%. And then Social Security will take out those taxes from your Social Security check and send it to your friends at the IRS. So, okay, maybe not your friends, but anyway, you get what I'm talking about. All right, let's see. Somebody continued. They sell their food stamps so they can get nails done, and they get their hair done, and they sell their food stamps so that yes, there is fraud. There is fraud, waste, and abuse in food stamps and Medicaid and Wall Street and car insurance, and yeah, there is fraud. But it's amazing when it's Wall Street ripping off trillions of dollars through the housing credit default swaps. It's just a few bad apples, and we need to bail those people out. When it's some poor person doing it, sure, stop them, arrest them if it's fraud. But then it's, oh my gosh, the entire bucket of apples is bad, so we need to completely shut down all of welfare, throw the baby out with the bathwater. So yeah, politicians, when they say fraud, waste, and abuse, they just mean poor people. So they don't care about fraud, waste, and abuse. They'll throw you in jail for a few days, and they'll give you a pardon right after that. And yeah. All right. Or you can have to pay restitution of $1.7 billion because of Medicare fraud, and then you can be governor of California. So allegedly, well, it's not allegedly. He was the CEO of that company. After being pulled over for overpayment, will SSI resume on its own, or must I take action? So if you had an overpayment with SSI and you negotiated that and set up a payment plan or paid it back or whatever the case may be, then if everything works out, then yeah, with SSI, it's limited. They can only basically withhold like 10%. And then once the overpayment is addressed, then yeah, your SSI should still resume if you're still eligible for SSI and all the rest of it. It depends on the nature of the overpayment. You got overpaid because you forgot to mention you got $1 billion inheritance from a long-lost uncle, then you're going to pay that back, and your SSI is not going to continue because you still got $1 billion in the bank unless you bought Bitcoin or whatever the case might be. I have no idea about Bitcoin, so there's something like that. Let's see here. David from Chiang Mai, Northern Thailand. Semper Fi, and thanks for all you do. Hoorah, Semper Fi. I retired in Thailand after 20 years in the Marine Corps. I turned 62 in March. I have set up a Social Security account and have been validated. Long process. When should? I wonder if we got the follow-up on that one. Probably, yeah, I don't see a follow-up question, but when should? So you're 62 in March. Remember, you have to be 62 the entire month. That's one of the exceptions. So if you were born on the 5th or 6th or whatever in March, you have to be 62 the entire month. So probably you're not entitled to benefits. You can't start benefits until April. And then your April check will come in May. So when should you start the process? I would, you can file online or call the 800 number to schedule an appointment. If you're in Thailand, you can go to the embassy or the consulate there in Bangkok or wherever and file through a consulate or an embassy. So there's that. So, all right, we are out of time. I will be back again tomorrow. We'll come up with another topic tomorrow for talking about that for about 5 or 10 or 15 minutes, and then we'll get into the live Q&A. I appreciate y'all, and good night.